All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another edition of our Real Estate Backstory. We do this every Monday morning around 9 a.m. Kind of going over all the comings and goings, the things happening in the real estate market here in the Atlanta area. My name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker.
My name is Ming Richardson. I'm the compliance broker from Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners. It's a Monday.
Several other things. Yes, it is Monday. And so we kind of want to jump off and I saw an interesting study this past week, and it talked about the ways that leaders unconsciously sabotage themselves. And, I want to start off with saying that a lot of times folks in real estate just kind of think of themselves as working for a broker or working for a particular brokerage or things like that. And the bottom line is that you are your own small business. And so you are your business's leader. You're your CEO. Now, for a lot of us, you're also employee number 001. But that being said, a lot of times leaders do tend to sabotage themselves to certain things. And so there's five big factors that fall in.
And that one of them is that they think they're perfectionists, they overthink. So when they overthink about certain process, they basically get bogged down in the process and not actually doing any execution.
Well, we see this happen, especially for newer agents and for someone who decides to move into a particular segment of the industry. They plan and plan and plan and plan, and then they plan some more, and they never actually get started. Like it doesn't do any good if all you do is prepare a product and then you never ship. You have to ship. And so if all you're worried about is making sure that it's perfect without getting started, we see this when people start making phone calls and their database and things like that. Instead of actually picking up the phone and calling, they're like, well, I want to practice. I want to do the script. I got to think about this.
It's a fear. And then I know the fear is real for a lot of people. And so I talk to agents all the time. They're like, well, I'm not so good about this. I say, the only way you can get better is just do it.
Yeah.
And you may lose one or two up front, but use that as your paving experience to make yourself much better.
Yeah.
So one of them, once again, if they're perfectionists and they overthink and they've got that fear gripping them so to where they won't process to the next step.
Yeah.
The next one's that for the seasoned agents, they think they know it all and they stop growing.
And that is a big risk right now. I mean, if there's one thing that our market right now is showing us, is it's a market in flux, it's a market in change. And so if you say this is how it is in real estate, like you can't stop growing, you can't stop learning. They're really smart, focused agents right now. They're taking a lot of CE classes, they're expanding their knowledge.
Absolutely.
They're reading books. You have to always keep growing. The third thing on here is that a lot of times business leaders will stop taking risks. And believe me, I understand about taking risk. Like this is one that we sometimes have to kind of fight with. On one hand, we know that the risk reward thing is especially true in real estate. But the other thing is anytime there's uncertainty in our market like we have right now, people want to naturally pull back, but if you don't take risks, you don't get any rewards a lot.
Well, a lot of people feel like they now have to cut back on their marketing dollar. Let me tell you, track your numbers, okay? Because when you don't track them, you don't know how your numbers are performing, for one. And two, when you cut things that are lead generating, that are making you money, you're doing yourself a disservice, because real estate takes about anywhere from 30, right now 90 days from the day inception to make it happen. So the longer you
go under contract, that's not even talking about closing.
And the longer you wait, I promise you, the longer it will take for you to recoup that time that you lost and not prospecting or spending the marketing dollar. But when I say marketing dollar, it can be equity sweat. It does not have to be always monetary.
Yeah, but you got to keep taking those risks. The fourth most common ways that leaders sabotage themselves is they don't involve others in decision making. Now, we are obviously quite blessed because we're a team in pretty much everything that we do, but even we try to bring in others and discuss that. We talk about things with all of our staff members, all of our branch managers, that kind of thing, as well as other franchisees, other business owners. You can't just be an island out there, because a lot of times you don't know everything that's going on. And having that sounding board, having that mentor, coach,
Accountability, yeah.
accountability partner, that kind of thing can be so crucial to helping you grow, and to stop you from shooting yourself in the foot. And then the last one is there's a lot of leaders that just kind of feel entitled. I'm here because I deserve to be here. And while on one hand, we do have a lot of that in the real estate industry, meaning that like you stated into being kind of thing. But like one thing you see right now with our business, it's not there if you're not going to work at it. The business does not owe you anything. So this idea of I'm going to be very successful because I'm entitled to it. No. You're going to be successful because you work your tail off. And that's really kind of the bottom line about where that comes in.
Just remember, nothing's gonna be given. You have to earn it, okay? You have to go get it. So real estate's like anything else. It is a earned business. Don't treat it like a hobby.
Exactly. So I want to share with you Mike DePreet. He's one of those big brain real estate folks kind of thing. And he just published this article I'm kind of sharing with you, is that 2021 is an outlier, not a benchmark. Because on everything that we see and everything that we're even looking at, what the news is covering, what everyone talks about is 2021. And 2021 was a phenomenal year in real estate.
Absolutely.
And so actually, on the slide above us, you can kind of see that 2021 was up 18% compared to the historical average. And so you can see how we were on a very modest growth pattern from 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, very much in the normal range kind of thing. And then 2021 shot through the roof. And so now that we're going into a more balanced market, everyone wants to compare us to this outlier, this national, to this really high benchmark. And then because of it, it's causing people to get a sense of dread and doom and gloom. Even this week, we saw a lot of comments on the internal Facebook page that we have, Maxwell and Rockstars, and so there's a lot of talk about what's going on with your business, what's happening over here. And what we're seeing is that we have a lot of folks who like, business is great, business is what you make it, and then a lot of folks have decided that business is not great. Right. Business is not going to be doing well, that they can't function. And if you've decided that you can't succeed in this market, I promise you're not. You really won't. But you got to look at what are you comparing up against, kind of thing. So I'm not here trying to blow smoke up anybody's skirt. We definitely know that these interest rates are causing a massive impact on our business, but to just kind of roll over and be like, oh, well, guess we're all going out of business. That's not reality out there. It's not what's happening to us.
And one thing that we did teach our agent since the sales meeting is talk to our internal lender about seller buying down rates.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
Again, you can kind of see where we're at this year versus last year, but more so, it's much better to look at where we really are versus our historical comparisons. So as Ming was just talking about, it really, like the interest rates are probably our biggest challenge. Our problem. Not probably. They are our biggest challenge right now. And so, for the last week, they're relatively flat. They're 6.92 last week, 6.94 this week. And that is causing a lot of pain, because as mortgage rates go up, then there's and what these graphs show, one shows how many people can afford to buy at the different interest rates, and how many people can't afford to buy at the higher the interest rates. And so you can see that there's a lot more people that can qualify than can't as the rates continue to move up. And while we do believe that there is some relief coming around the corner, the reality of it is here's where our market is right now. Like this is where interest rates are. And so there's no point in being like, well, like we see so many buyers right now that are living in this like if only I had, and if the rates come back down to this, and like here's
Right.
where we're at, right? This is where the rates are, right? So we're running we're running really, really close to 7. And so and I firmly believe it's going to go up into the 7%. I don't think
So
it's going to go
this,
much past the mid 7s, but
no,
it's one of those where I do see it reaching that point before we hit the holidays and that kind of stuff, because the Fed shows no sign of not continuing to force to keep raising the federal funds rate, which causes a lot of market turmoil, which means a lot of people move over into treasuries, which is
right.
where mortgage rates sit. So you can kind of see that the higher the mortgage rate, the higher the required household income. And this is why we're seeing an offset in the number of buyers that we have right now. Now, part of that being said, and what we are seeing is we're seeing a lot of agents right now that are being very, not just agents, lenders too. Buy downs and arms are becoming a tool for closing deals. Now, I'm
Not a fan of ARM,
well,
but
well, we aren't, but we kind of got to talk about these two elements really quickly. And so, buy downs, the 2-1 buy downs and the 3-2-1 buy downs, where it goes at this percentage for the first year, then this percentage for the second year, then this percentage moving forward, or this year, then next year, and then all that. These buy downs are positioned so that you're able to help save on those interest payments for the first couple of years, and with the plans that as rates stabilize, you go in and you refinance. And that's kind of the basic play here, is that if you really are trying to help someone get into homeownership, and there's the big deal with homeownership is that's where wealth is created. If you stay a renter, you're never going to have the wealth creation that comes out of being a homeowner. So it's a really big deal. So it's not just buy downs for for the borrowers, though. We're
the
seeing
builders are doing buy down and sellers are doing
Mhm.
buy down for the buyers. So this will create more affordability for the buyer, because it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. What matters is that the monthly payment has to maintain a certain level. Otherwise, their debt to income ratio is way too high.
Well, we're seeing a lot of things that have to do, or I'm sorry, we're starting to kind of go, like full circle, heading back to where sellers are offering 3% towards closing costs or buy downs, and 3% is the most that they're going to. So how much do you need for closing costs, and then what percentage of that can get put towards the buy down on that buyer's rate? So one tool that we're seeing a lot of savvy seller listing agents using is offering 3% closing costs and buy down concessions. That's one thing and we have a lot of buyer's agents that are being smart and paying attention to those folks who are offering that. That's a really good sales feature right now for a lot of the buyers. Now, the other thing that we're seeing right now is that arms right now, the adjustment rate
Very
mortgages,
popular.
it is soared to a 14-year high. Now, Ming and I personally worry about arms because arms was, the adjustment rate mortgage is one of those things that we kind of feel like fueled the 2008 crash. I mean, there was
It
also
was one of
LIBORs
them.
and a lot of things in there, but it wasn't the only thing. But the bottom line is that as long as you feel very stable about the market, I feel the market is much more stable than it was back then. And this can be a way to get in at a lower monthly payment with the plans to refinance again. I don't think an ARM is a solid investment long term. I just don't. I don't think that's smart. I don't think it's
Now,
safe.
what everybody's hoping is that the interest rate will come down here next year. And when it does come down, they will take the money and refi it so they have much better monthly payment.
Yeah. So again, I'm not trying to while we're not trying to force or to necessarily sway anyone into an adjustable rate mortgage or into doing buy downs. We're saying that for the realtors who are being really wise about what's happening in the market, these are tools that you can employ instead of just rolling over and saying, oh well, the market stinks, that's how it is, kind of thing.
So it is crucial for you to work closely with the lender, the buyer's lender, and understand what are the capabilities.
Yeah, because at the same time, one thing that we're really seeing right now is that HELOCs are not only back, they're back really substantially. I mean, they're not as high as they were in 2005, 2006. But by the way, HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. And so they're continuing to increase. And a lot of this is due to for two things. One, that Americans have had such a large percentage of property value growth that there's a lot of value tied up in home ownership. And two, we have a lot of sellers that rather than sell are taking out home equity lines and then improving their home themselves instead of if I can't go get a 3% rate and find another house, I'll keep my 3% rate and then make this house the one I want it to be. So we're seeing a lot more of those type of HELOCs. These are not HELOCs that are taking equity out. These are HELOCs that are being reinvested. Now, Atlanta comes in at about in the top 10 because of the top 15 metros with the highest amount of approved HELOCs. Atlanta comes in at about 10. You can see that we're up, but we're not as high as a couple of the other markets, but still there's a lot of that going on in our marketplace right this minute. So home price is continuing now. When you see this
or
slide,
this
is one of those things that scares our sellers. Home price growth decelerated sharply in the third quarter, and did it? Absolutely. However, it's still 13.8% over last year. Okay. So, average property value appreciation is 4.4% for the last 50 years. So are we growing as fast as we were? Well, no, but 19% wasn't realistic either, right? So 19% was not a realistic growth. 14%, 13.8% is still too high. I mean, most Americans aren't making 14% higher than they were last year. So we got to see, or we got to understand that when the headlines come out, they're sensational, right? Home price decelerated sharply.
If they were not sensational, there would not be a headline.
We still see really, really solid property value growth. And as that continues, it's based on supply versus demand. We're seeing less demand for sure. Guess what else we're seeing? Less supply as well, of thing. So we're sitting nationally right now, we're sitting at 3.2 months of inventory. Median home price nationally is $384,000. However, we are going on the 8th straight month of month-over-month decline. So we know that the market is shifting, and it's largely due to to what's happening with the mortgage rates. So the other thing that's really interesting right now is that active inventory has contracted for 2 straight months. So yes, we have less buyers. Guess what else we have less of? Inventory. So, we were running 3.4 months of standing inventory. We have now 3.2 months of standing inventory. So we have, we need basically 6 months of inventory to have a level market. So it's not like all of a sudden, oh, look, all the ground that we're making back up. We're not even headed to a balanced market yet. So, we do have a lack of supply as well as a lack of demand, and that is why we're continuing to see property values are holding really, really steady. We also have this huge millennial generation moving into first-time buyer age over the next 4 years. These folks want a home, and our first-time home buyer percentage is as low as it's almost ever been. So there's a ton of pent-up demand out there that we know is going to be coming. So one thing that we are seeing is that our sellers have to be very intentional about pricing and property condition. We've been talking about this whole tornado inventory where you get a listing and the seller says, well, they sold for 300 and they sold for 300. I want to sell for 300. Well, yeah, but they had granite countertops and they had all new paint and they had new flooring and they had this, and you have Formica countertops. So like price and condition is so crucial together. You can't just take these blanket statements of I want to, they sold for this down there, so therefore I can sell for that same exact kind of thing. It's not working, right? And so we're seeing in neighborhoods where one house will sell for $400,000 and then the other two $400,000 sits there. And guess what? They're not the same house. Sellers want to think that that's how it works. And honestly, in the summer last year, you know, our sellers weren't having to make a lot of repairs and improvements, and people would be lining up to buy their home. That's not now. Okay. And
And
so,
that's because the interest rate was incredible and their monthly
Yep.
payment was very minimum and it actually beat out rental rates.
so, you know, this is how our numbers are looking right now. So this is our total existing home sales. You can see that we're running around 4,700,000 right now. You know, our median price, it is dropping down a little bit, but we kind of expected that. We already knew that, you know, we're seeing where all of the, not all, but a great majority of where the interest is in that 250 to $500,000 range. And it really anything under 250 is still
It's
on
golden,
fire.
Right.
Right. But that's where the biggest push is. And so we're seeing where, because of the interest rates, people are having to buy less expensive homes just to be able to afford the mortgage rates. And so you can see this is our existing home sales by median price, percent change year over year, what that's really running. And so we're still running heavy. And so this is our percent change. So right now, our total existing home sales are down about 23%, which we've known and we keep talking about. Now, as far as what area of America is really selling, guess what?
So
Yeah, we make up, you know, almost half, 44% of all sales are happened here in the South. Sunbelt is a big market, and we continue to drive that forward. And then again, you can see that 66, basically 2/3 of all sales is either in that 0 to 200 to 250 or 250 to 500. That's where the vast majority of our sales is really taking place. One thing that we want to urge some caution for everybody out there is there was a Tucson real estate agent that was attacked while showing a house. And I'm not trying to, I don't.
We're not trying to put any fear in anybody, but
No.
we do want to make sure realtor are practicing safely.
And this is one I also don't want to come across as attacking the victim, because that's not what I mean. But the guy that attacked this woman, you know, he has a rap sheet about 5 miles long, and he wasn't a pre-approved buyer, and she set up an appointment with him to go meet this person at this house alone. Like, check your people out, know who you're going to go visit, have them come to the office the first time, meet with someone, take someone with you. These things always happen alone. So, you know, bring your partner, call me, you know, that kind of stuff. We have to be very diligent. I hate that this is a world where we have to talk about safety, but it is. And unfortunately, realtors are victims a lot of times. So, you know, a lot of times the way we market, the way we promote ourselves makes it very easy for people to stalk us and find us and then want to engage with us in sometimes nefarious ways. So please be diligent, be wise. I know that right now that everyone right now is on the hustle, and I appreciate that, but don't jeopardize your safety for that. Now, you know, there was a recent study which which listed the real estate bubbles for 2022, and guess what's not in there?
Atlanta.
Georgia or Atlanta kind of thing. So you can see that those are the markets, you know, San Francisco, LA, Miami, New York, Boston, and then Toronto. But you know, these are the markets that are the most likely at risk. Here in the South, we're in really good shape when it comes to like we still have a ton of demand. We still don't have enough supply. So those basic forces are still looking really good for us there. Builder confidence, on the other hand, and this is what
down for straight 10 months.
Yeah. I mean, like the builders are not feeling very confident, and they are pulling back on building. You can see that, you know, this is, you know, you can see the total starts, but how many of that is single family versus multifamily? And guess what they're building right now? They're building multifamily. And so that's one of those that is like I worry about that, because that's the place where the investors are taking the wealth creation from homeowners there, because wealth is tied up in home ownership. So even as an investor, if I own multiple apartments kind of thing and multiple units, I'm capturing that wealth from those people that could have had that if they would go out and buy their own property. So please, I just want you to kind of know what's going on. But this is another one of the factors that is it's still supply versus demand. And we have weakening, even though we have slower supply side, demand side, we also have slower supply side on that side, as far as that
And
goes.
builders just trying to meet the demand, what the market is asking
Yep.
for at this point.
So, yeah, we can absolutely share these slides out. So I'll send these out to all the branch managers. They'll have these slides. So Shannon, I did see your message there, and we'll get that. And then if anybody needs your swag, you can go to max1market.com. This week we have 3 different classes coming up this week. So we have protect your investment. It's a class on home inspections. That's in Noonan. Then we got Mortgage 101 at the airport office, and then Matrix Basics, which is just a really good core base knowledge class. That's going to be in our Fayetteville office.
And back to Mortgage 101 really quick.
Yep.
This is conducted by Thrive Mortgage, and I will tell you they have some really good program and in their system. So
Yep.
even though you may have taken that class before, I highly encourage you to make connection with a lender so you know what to do in this market, because they may have product you may not be aware of.
And right now it's, there's so many things changing, and for, like the other thing, we were talking about, when we were talking about like buying down rates and that kind of thing earlier. For those of us that have been in the business for a long time, buying down rates was one of those things that we used to do. And if you've been in the business less than 5 years, you're like, I even had one newer agent like ask me like, is that legal? Can you even do that? I'm like, yeah, we can do that kind of thing. So, staying up on these things, staying educated, just like we talked about, it's so important to being successful moving forward. So we hope you guys have a great week. If we can be any kind of service, please call, text, smoke signals. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great Monday. Take care.